Hello and welcome to this edition of the Audio Spotlight. I'm Tyler Rowland, and with me is LaBryant Strader, quarterback of the Ashland Tomcats, who threw for 6 touchdowns this week against Johnson Central in the district championship of 4A District 6. And LaBryant, it's good to have you on the show, and we've had so many memorable moments over the course of your career. Talk about just this game and what it meant to you, because you know what a fantastic team that Johnson Central has, and to come into such a tough district, you guys were able to pull it out and put off a play that will be remembered for a long time.
We play in a very strong district. We have to bring our A game every night that we go out there. Johnson Central's the big one. We were 3-0 in district play coming in. That's the game you got to win. We keep that thing up in our weight room. It says beat Central, because you know how physical they are, how dominant they are up front. Our thing is speed, and I thought on Friday we played with great speed and great physicality in the trenches to help us win the game.
Let's talk some about your offensive line, because early in the year, they struggled a little bit. You guys had that loss to Harvest Prep, but the line against Johnson Central, they were picking them up when they were blitzing 5, 6 guys, sending a lot of pressure at you. And I don't think you got sacked once against one of the teams that leads statewide in sacks. Talk about that line and just their development over the course of the season.
Well, I'll just say they've stuck with it. We only had 2 guys return on the O-line, and to really start the year, we only had 1 because Brady got hurt in that first scrimmage. So Frame was the only returning starting lineman we had. But we knew what Cash, Owen, and Jackson were capable of doing up front, and they just stuck with it. They got a lot of heat on them for the Harvest Prep game, but that wasn't just them. That was on the entire team. They kept coming in every day, working and gelling as a front 5, and I'll say they've gelled into a pretty good front 5.
Yes, they put on a great performance, and it seems like they just continue to get better. Let's talk a little bit about over your career. What is an area that you felt like you improved on the most over your time as a player?
Wanted to improve my mobility. Always had a strong arm, an accurate arm to be able to get the ball to my receivers. But likewise, working with the front 5, protecting a stationary target is a lot harder to do than a guy who can move around and help them a little bit. Being able to step up, move the pocket a little bit to allow those guys to re-pick up the blocks, I say that goes hand in hand with the blocking up front. If the line is able to ride a guy upfield, you can escape up the middle. All you're doing is helping them out. If you're stationary in the back, the D linemen know exactly where to rush. So I'd say me learning the offensive line tendencies, them learning my tendencies, has kind of helped us form a group to avoid sacks.
That's tough for a lot of quarterbacks, because when you're facing multiple decisions, you have to know what everybody's doing on the field. You have to know where the receivers are going. You have to watch the pressure that's coming. If a team's sending a heavy blitz, when to run or when to throw. It's a tough position to play. And what advice would you give to somebody that's coming up that would want to have the success that you've had?
Yeah, I would tell them to worry about their job first. It's easy as a quarterback to point fingers, receivers got to catch the ball, running backs got to make plays, O-line's got to make blocks. I look at it as, how can I help everyone else on the offense be to the best of their ability? If it's an O-lineman who is a little bit slower, who can get beat by a speed rush, kind of sliding a little extra help to him or stepping up away. If it's a receiver who prefers deep routes to short routes, getting them opportunities to where they can make that big play over the top. It's all about setting up the other 10 guys on the field for success, and then ultimately, if the other 10 are successful, you'll be successful as well.
Let's talk about your district championship game. No doubt about it, one that's going to be remembered for a long time. This Ashland Johnson Central series has been fantastic in the past 2 years, from which it has been resumed, shows why it should be continued. And this year, LaBryant, you look at Johnson Central, they have the wishbone offense, and I said this in Dylan's interview, but how powerful they are. They're number 1 in the state in rushing at around 4,000 yards. they surpassed last year's rushing total against Ashland, and the second-place team has 1,000 fewer rushing yards than Johnson Central does. It's a hard offense to stop, and they go up 36-34. Braxton gets that big kick return. But we'll kind of walk through this. What was going through your mind? You got it 1st and 10 on the 27, one timeout left.
I just think about our playmakers. When you got guys like Duck, Cam Davis, Brax, Sam, Mason, Matt, we have electric playmakers on the field at all times. Any opportunity you're going to get, we're going to get a shot at the end zone. You get the ball, Brax makes a great return. You get it to the 27. There's time. You still have a timeout. You got 3 or 4 plays to get to the end zone. And as an explosive offense, you can scheme up guys, have them run open in the end zone because they can't just key on one guy. And I think that's what makes us so dangerous at any point in the game is how many playmakers we do have.
That's a good point to bring up because coming into the game, the leading receivers were Sam and Cam and then Brax, and they had 23, 21, and 20 receptions, respectively, I believe. You guys get that first down. You complete a pass to Cam. He gets his foot down in bounds, which was excellent awareness, I thought, on his part, just given the angle he was at, and then he gets out. So you've got a fresh set of downs on the 16. I'm sitting back kind of thinking that you guys were going to try to get in position for a field goal to win it. You have the kicker to do so. Of course, you tried the pass to Braxton, and I think that was Barnes, that number 24 that covered it in the flat, and he had a fantastic job defensively, and then you guys talk it over. Then the last play, what happened on that?
So, we come over to the sideline, and I'm talking to E-Step. He's on the headset with Dowdy, and I tell him, I'm like, there's a route we ran earlier in the game, concept we ran, that scored earlier. So I'm like, Coach, they're in a very similar defense back there, same formation. I thought that we could get them to key on Brax. Hey, if we can kind of get him with somebody else, if we run him away, we might create a hole for someone else to fill in the gap. And so I was like, let's run that play. And then they keyed on Brax, and you had the opening for Duck.
Duckwyler, who we knew was going to have a breakout game at some point, and it ends up happening against Johnson Central in the district championship in the final seconds of the game. And then just describe your emotion. You see him, were you shocked he was that wide open?
I was. When I went over to talk about the play, you're just hoping that you can get a small window open in the end zone. Hey, get us a shot to get in there. If you don't get it right there, then it gets tougher. Start weighing field goal versus one more end zone shot. But right there, that's a free play. You still got a timeout if you get tackled short. So you can really do whatever you want. But when he came wide open, your eyes light up. It worked. All you got to do is complete it. I saw him catch it, and then the place went crazy.
Your emotions afterward, what was running through your mind?
All the pain of the full year of letting the game last year. You feel like you let it get away. You're like, we felt like we were the better team down there. You go down, you don't have enough. And you got to get back on that bus. We really give everything we had. And so this last year, I think I can honestly say we went in that weight room, we went to the field, and we gave it everything we had. And I'm just glad that it worked out in the end.
We'll talk a little bit about Jason, your dad. When that moment happened, I was on the headset. And you want to talk about how crazy it was. At the end of the game, your dad came up to me, and I just remember we just hugged each other there, and I'm talking on air as I'm saying this. I'm like, there's Jason Strader next to me. Just all this energy. And when you see Jason, you just can't help but smile. He just gives you that burst of energy when you're around him. Talk about what it's like and what a mentor he's been to you.
One thing I can say about my dad is he gives 100% to anything that he wants to do. And last year, watching me come up short against them, he was like, we got to do whatever we can to make sure when we play them again that you're ready. Anything I needed, I go catch some passes, go run sprints. He was right there with me. I feel like it was kind of a full circle moment to climb that hill and beat Johnson Central, win this district, and ultimately set yourself up for a chance to make a deep playoff run. I feel like it meant a lot to him. Obviously, you got to see part of that I see. He was very excited. That was the game he's talked about for a year. So he wanted it badly. I wanted it badly. So he knew how much it meant to me. That's probably why he was so excited. You know, he knew how much it meant to me to win. It's kind of like that every single day. It doesn't matter what game it is. He wants to see me be successful, and it means a lot to him to see that success because he knows what goes on behind the scenes.
Nicely said. Let's talk a little bit about academically some of your pursuits, because you have a strong background there. Talk about some of your accomplishments that you have on that end.
It started in elementary school. I was on the academic team. Me and my teammates at Pogue, we were the first regional championship team from Pogue. We had to compete against the other Ashland elementary schools and also some elementary schools from Greenup, and Russell was like the big dog. They won almost every year, and so I'd come in every day and not leave school till 5, stay an extra 2 hours every day, just kind of work an academic team. We'd end up winning the regional title. And then in high school, I've taken a lot of AP classes, a lot of college classes, have like a 4.3 GPA and a 32 ACT score, and so I try to take pride in my schoolwork along with my athletic career. You're a student athlete. My parents make sure I know that every day. You are a student first, athlete second. They check up on my grades, on my attendance, not allowed to miss school. You're going to be at school. You're going to do your work. And that comes before football always. And they make sure I know that.
That's impressive. And what advice would you give for work-life balance? Because that is tough. You're juggling a lot of hats.
I would just say always attack the day. Whatever day you're going into, attack it. Don't set limits on yourself. If you think, hey, I can take that advanced math class, it's going to be rough, take the class. Challenge yourself each and every day to expand who you are, because you can't truly grow as a person if you don't test your limits. So go into every day saying, I can do this, I will do this. And then at the end of the day, if it's too much, you can back off. But if you're able to push through every day.
Nicely said. Let's talk a little bit about college. I know for good reason you're focusing on strictly your academics and football at this point before jumping into the recruiting process. But let's talk about your major. Do you have a career at this point? Or if not, it's okay. I was undecided myself coming in.
So I want to pursue a job in the medical field. I'm not exactly sure what specialty I'd like to take yet. My mom says I should get over and truly see what all the hospital has to offer, or jobs even outside the hospital in the medical field. I'm leading towards radiology, kind of reading scans and stuff like that, because I've had multiple scans taken, injuries throughout my career. I truly think it's cool, the human body, to be able to look into it, truly break it down. So my major, I'm thinking pre-med. If I were to play football, you have more on your plate with practice every day and stuff like that. But if I was to just be a student somewhere, I would like to do some type of engineering. I was thinking biomedical because, again, as an athlete, I have braces I have to wear, 3D printed objects that you can wear for better padding. And so that kind of stuff entices me, kind of draws me into, hey, I can make the world a better place through helping people alleviate pain, any type of help I could do, or even creating new, medical drugs. That all goes into biomedical engineering. So it just sounds like a pretty cool path to take.
Sounds like you have a lot of routes open for you. LaBryant, what is a cool fact about yourself? This is something, of course, you see on every interview I ask, but something that not a lot of people know.
A lot of people know that I'm an Ohio State fan, and a lot of people don't truly know the real reason. The real reason is Braxton Miller was my favorite player growing up, and so I always just kind of gelled with Ohio State. And also, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan because I thought Russell Wilson was really cool because he was a shorter quarterback. I played quarterback back then. My dad's 5'9", 5'10" at the most, and my mom's like 5'7". So I'm thinking I get to 5'11", I'll be lucky. So I thought, hey, Russell Wilson's a good role model to have. He's a smaller guy with a strong arm. So I wanted to be like him. When he moved away, I was very, very sad. But he's still my favorite quarterback to this day. and I'm still a Seahawk fan to this day.
Nice. And lastly, are there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
You know, I gave him a shout-out for my senior night, Coach Adam Coons. I would also like to give a shout-out to Coach Steve. He was the guy who really broke down football to me at the quarterback position as a younger guy. And then all my coaches that I have in high school currently that have believed in me the whole time, you know, I'd like to give a big shout-out to Coach T. He took the job when I was a sophomore. He came to me, and he was like, "You're going to be my guy." If you watched us 2 years ago, you know we started out 2-4. But in the 2 scrimmages, I played terrible. But he stuck with me. He believed that I could help this team win. That team would eventually go on to the state semis, be very successful there. And then last year's team, 10-2, and now this year's team, district championship. So I just want to thank him for believing in me, allowing me to grow instead of making any drastic decisions 2 years ago.
Nicely said, LaBryant. Thank you for coming on. It's been a lot of fun watching your career. Be sure to stay tuned to keep up with LaBryant Strader and with Ashland. Be sure to check him out on My Town TV. LaBryant, who has thrown for 21 touchdowns this season, and if it's hard to imagine, just given his high completion percentage before, he has passed that up this year, throwing almost 69%. So be sure to stay tuned. They have Simon Kenton coming up this week on the road. Check local providers for that. I know we'll have the first and hopefully a second round playoff game at home. And we want to say thank you all for tuning in and watching the Audio Spotlight. God bless you. We will see you soon.